So you've decided that now's the time to take that less than ideal looking lawn and turn it into something spectacular. Well, you've come to the right place because I've done this myself, and today we're going to talk about all the steps necessary for you to completely transform your lawn in only one season. The first step when it comes to overhauling your lawn is just understanding what you're working with. There are different grass types. Specifically, there's warm season grass and there's cool season grass. And understanding which type you have is going to dictate what you need to do to fix your issues. Cool season grass thrives in conditions where soil temperatures range between 50 to 65 degrees. That's when they grow at their best. That's Kentucky bluegrass, perennial ryegrass, fine fescue, tall fescue, bent grass. Those things are all examples of cool season grass that you typically are going to find in the north. In the south, you're going to find different types of grass that thrive in different conditions. Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, centipede, bahia, St. Augustine, those things all thrive in southern states because they require soil temperatures that are a little bit higher. So 70 degrees or higher is ideal for those types of grass. If you have no idea, this is a map that may help you identify which type of grass you probably have. We also have what's called the transition zone. And in the transition zone, you can grow either warm season grass or cool season grass. That cool season grass probably is not going to do as well in the summer heat in your area, but the warm season grass may take a little bit longer to start to come out of dormancy in the springtime when the soil temperatures are a little bit cooler. Next, before you jump into anything, is trying to understand what's going on underneath your grass. What's happening in the soil, because the soil is the heart and soul of everything that goes on in your lawn. So if you have a lawn that's struggling and you can't figure out why, one thing to do is test your soil. The best time to do that's in the springtime because you want to make sure you test your soil in a time where you haven't recently put down any products like fertilizer or weed killers. So the springtime, you're going to want to test your soil. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a reading and it's going to tell you what your pH level is, and if you're deficient in any of the macronutrients, it's going to give you readings on those, which is going to help you identify which type of fertilizer is going to be best for you. Next, we have to try to figure out what our main issues are, and it typically comes down to two things. One, you have too many weeds in your lawn, or two, your grass just isn't thick enough to your liking. And of those two things, what I would try to do first is just try to build up the strength of your grass before you try to start killing off all the weeds. Some simple things that you can do that go a long way. The first one is proper mowing. Mowing your lawn is one of the best things you can do for your grass, and cutting it with a sharp mower blade and cutting frequently go a long way when it comes to transforming your lawn. One general rule of thumb is following the 1/3 rule and making sure you're not cutting off more than 1/3 of the grass blade whenever you're cutting the grass. So if your grass gets too long and you try to cut it down really short, it's going to cause your grass to go into stress. It's going to look yellow. It's not going to look good. So understanding that frequent mowing goes a long way in making your grass spread laterally. Also related to mowing, mowing at the appropriate height for your grass. Cool season grass like I have grows best at around 2.5 to 3.5 inches, and keeping it in that zone is going to allow you to thrive. If you have warm season grass, for example Bermuda grass or zoysia, those can be kept at a lower height of cut, anywhere from 1 inch to about 2 inches. If you have centipede, bahia, St. Augustine, those things can be cut a little bit higher, and they prefer a little bit higher height of cut. After appropriate mowing techniques, the next thing you can do is tackle any weed issues that you may have. I personally don't use any weed killers or any pre-emergents in my lawn when it comes to weeds, and what I do is just manually pull them. I have a stand-up weed puller that I've used for years, and I also just use a flathead screwdriver. I'll walk throughout my lawn every few days, and if I see weeds pop up, I'll just get them before they can put out seeds and spread themselves. If you can do that, your grass is going to fill into those areas, and the best way to prevent weeds is having a thick green carpet of grass. If you do have lots of weeds and maybe you've got a bigger space where that's not realistic for you to walk around and pull them manually, you can use a weed killer, something like a selective herbicide. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you're going to see tons of different options of these, but things like an Ortho Weed Clear is a great option when it comes to killing broadleaf weeds, and you can also kill crabgrass if it's labeled for that. If you want something a little bit more potent, you can go with a product like Speed Zone. It comes in a concentrate. You would need a sprayer, so like a backpack sprayer or a handheld sprayer. Mix that in with the water and just walk around. Where you see weeds, you can just spray them, and it's going to knock those weeds out in just a couple weeks. The next thing that's incredibly important is understanding how to fertilize your lawn and when to do so. One thing in the spring, like we're at right now, we're at March 12th, and the springtime is a great time to wake up your lawn with some fertilization, but what you put down is important. You don't want to put down too much nitrogen in the spring. Instead, go with something that's a 10-10-10 balanced fertilizer. 10% nitrogen, 10% phosphorus, and 10% potassium. It's going to wake up your lawn and get everything thriving and prepared for the growing season. When it comes to the timing, you want to try to follow the holidays. The first one being Easter. So around Easter is a great time to give it that first feeding. The next holiday that we want to try to follow when it comes to fertilizing is Memorial Day. Around Memorial Day for cool season grass like I have, the grass has just gone through a stressful time where it's put out its seed heads, and in that process it uses a lot of energy. So something like an Anderson's Lawn Food or a Scott's Turf Builder, those things are great options and allow you to thrive throughout all of the growing season. The next holiday would be 4th of July. You don't want to hammer your lawn with nitrogen on the 4th of July, specifically for cool season grass like mine, because it's going through that stressful time of summer. So you don't want to add more nitrogen because that could lead to problems like disease and fungus. The last holiday is Labor Day, and that's a great time to put down fertilizer, prepare your lawn for the upcoming winter, and give it all of the nutrients and all the carbohydrates it needs to fuel itself throughout those stressful months, come out of dormancy the next spring, and thrive. After fertilizing, irrigation is something that's incredibly important. Your lawn during the growing season needs at least 1 inch of water per week. And if you can stay on top of that, you're going to have incredible results. If you have in-ground irrigation, this is very simple and it doesn't take very much effort. But if you don't, you may have to pull a hose out, you may have to put a sprinkler out in your lawn, but you want to do your best to try to get between rainfall and your irrigation at least 1 inch of water per week. With that, you want to do infrequent waterings. So try to water 1 to 2 times a week if it needs it, and don't water frequently, because if you water infrequently, your grass roots are going to start to dig down deep looking for that water. The last thing that's really going to improve your lawn has to do with seeding. And for cool season grass like mine, there's 2 ideal times for seeding. One is in the spring and one is in the fall. You can seed in the summertime, but your results may be a little bit more challenging. But choosing a premium grass seed is something that's incredibly important. Don't waste your money on cheap grass seed because you want to save a couple bucks here or there. So I've splurged a little bit in my backyard. I've gone with Barenbrug perennial ryegrass, and that stuff is amazing. I seeded in the spring in 2 big areas where we used to have trees, and the results have been incredible. The grass is thick and green, and I've never had any issues with it. If you can do all of these different things, it may seem overwhelming, but if you can take it step by step along the way and stay on top of it, you can have an amazing lawn of your own. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.